to the matinee, and it cost a nickel, and you'd see a comedy, and you'd see the movie, and you would see the news of the world, and that's the only thing we knew about the war, and everybody, the young men would go off to war. And then when I lived in Portales, New Mexico, I was quite near the place where they first tested the atomic bomb. But we weren't aware that that was what was going on. So that's about all I remember, that it was we had rationing, and you had to have coupons to buy sugar, to buy gasoline, and I think that's about all we had coupons for.
What was the happiest moment in your life?
Well, the happiest moment, I guess, was when I became a mother. That was really the happiest moment, both times. So that was the happiest 2 moments. What else, my darling?
Tell me about the civil rights movement.
Oh, the civil rights movement, that was really very close to my heart, because I grew up in the South, and it was very common for us in those days. The black people couldn't even come into the same theater where we were, and they had separate drinking fountains, and it was one side it would be for colored only and for whites only. And I read a book when I was in Portales, New Mexico, a book called The Street by Ruth Petrie. No, Ann Petrie was her name. And that was the first time, and it was a black woman. She was a Negro, we called them in those days. And it was the first time I realized that black people were the same as white people. And then when I came to California, and I became aware that how awful discrimination was. And actually in the late 60s, well, like this 1966, I went to Jackson, Mississippi, and I helped register voters and took depositions of different black people when they were trying to get the vote. And I wrote a lot of letters to Congress, and I was very, very supportive of the civil rights movement, and Dr. Martin Luther King, whom you've heard about, I'm sure, and LBJ. Lyndon Baines Johnson was the president, and he actually signed the Civil Rights Act after President Kennedy had died, was assassinated.
Was the registration dangerous?
Well, by that time, I mean, I wasn't right on the front lines. It probably could have been dangerous if I didn't have the protection of this one group that we went with, called the, let's see, what was it? SNCC. I can't remember what that's an acronym for now in my dotage. I can't remember what that means. But when I was there, we were, I really wasn't in that much danger. Although there was still a lot of protesting, and there had been a number of killings from people who were so opposed to civil rights.
How did you meet Grandpa Coleman?
Pardon me?
How did you meet Grandpa Coleman?
Oh my! Oh, well, I met Grandpa Coleman over the telephone, because when I was graduated from high school, from Portales High School, I came to California with an aunt and uncle to live with them and go to school. And my cousin was working at the telephone company, and she got me a job there. And this was in July.
What year?
And it was, number please, I was called a telephone operator. And I met your grandfather over the telephone, actually, because I would say number please, and he started teasing me about my accent. And so we started flirting over the phone, and he asked me if he could come and have a Coca-Cola, take me for a Coca-Cola. And I said, sure. And I met him on October 31st, 1946. And then we were married 9 months later in Las Vegas, Nevada, on July 4th, 1947. And that's that. Over the telephone. Just like your mama and your daddy met over the internet. Isn't that a coincidence? And he was so handsome. I fell in love immediately. I had stars in my eyes. And that's the truth.
And thank you for your interviews.
You're very welcome, sweetheart.